I'm beyond excited. I'm Dr. Brett Brimhall. So excited about these wellness Wednesdays that we get to do, and especially excited to be able to listen to Eileen. Eileen's been a client and a friend for years. She came to me years ago, as she practically raised me. But I'm excited because you get to hear her story. She's a phenomenal teacher, educator. That's her passion. Love it to teach people. She loves the interaction. And so I'm just excited for you guys to hear, because of what she's been through, the journey she's been through, like the way she is today is not what should be scientifically possible based upon the knowledge that I was taught in school. Because of the science you're going to hear about tonight is why her and her family and many others are improving in ways that we weren't taught was possible in school. So I'm just excited you get to hear her and her share her story and experience, and then we'll come back and answer questions. So Eileen, thank you for doing this and taking your time. And I know you've stressed about it and that you'll do a phenomenal job, but thank you for sharing your time, energy, and your heart with us. So please take it away.
My pleasure. Hey, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And I want to start off with a gratitude for Dr. Brett, because if he didn't have an open mind to always try to find the best tools to follow his passion of helping people, I would not be here today in this state of being. And so I'm really grateful that he keeps his mind open and he's willing to take the next step in that leap of faith that this new technology, whatever it may be, a new machine in his office, a new technique that is out there, a new activation that he has found, that has made a difference for me. So thank you, Brett. So before we start, so I want to start with one time I was sitting in Brett's office. I have an over-intelligent son, not mature, but over-intelligent. There is a difference. And I was so frustrated with him because he couldn't do his homework. He wasn't turning it in. And we were having fights for him going to school. And Brett said to me, what if he can't do his homework? I kind of rolled my eyes and I'm like, are you kidding me? He is more intelligent than I am on certain things. He can do his homework. His potential is there. And Brett just said, maybe he can't, because Brett understood the brain better than me. And I don't remember the rest of our conversation, but we kept going. And then a few years later, I was teaching preschool. And I had this boy in circle time that just rolled on the carpet all over the place. And I'm a traditional teacher. I was in the elementary school. I like people to sit there and listen and do all of that. And this boy just kept rolling on the ground. And I went to Brett and I said, oh my gosh, this kid's gonna drive me crazy. And he goes, Eileen, if you make him sit, he won't learn. And I really had to let that sink in, because movement helped this boy learn. Well, 2 weeks into the program that I taught was all made by these people who made the preschool. And so they were all clever, different songs for the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and the seasons of the year. He was the only child out of 10 children in my classroom. He sang every single word correctly for the multiple songs we had learned. I sat there in shock when I was testing him for his pre-test for the beginning of the year. And so Brett was right about that. And so the next of my journey is when my family started, I just thought I'd be the fun mom, the creative mom. I'd show them a good example and they would follow it. Why wouldn't they? They want happiness. I figured it out. Why not share it? But then we had things creep in, like arguments and sadness and depression and not being able to concentrate and learning challenges. And when we got some diagnoses, I chalked it up to, oh, they got it. You know, what do we have to do to manage it? There's no hope. The prognosis is there. And that's all that I could do, was help them live their best lives with this new diagnosis or challenge that we were facing. And then something happened to me in 2010. I put some clothes on my daughter's bed and she came down and she goes, Mom, where'd those cute clothes come from? And I said, we went to the store yesterday and bought them. And she said, no, we didn't. And I said, yeah, we did. And up until this point, she had been expressing that she had been starting to forget things. She's in high school. She's a 16-year-old. And I thought she was just giving me excuses for not doing her homework and for not being on time and procrastination and being belligerent. And I saw some changes in her that I could not comprehend. And I happened to be watching TV and I came across PBS and a doctor by the name of Dr. Daniel Amen, and I'll share that slide in a minute. And he said, you can heal your brain. And then he started describing someone who had a traumatic brain injury having a change of personality, having a change of the way they interact with other people and the way they treat and behave themselves. And some lights went on in my head and I went, oh my gosh. But then he also shared hope. He said, the brain can heal. And I was like, wow, is that really possible? So I actually investigated him, and I actually eventually took my entire family to him, and I'm going to share that with you in just a second here. But that was my aha. See, when I got all the diagnoses before for the neurodegenerative diseases that we got diagnosed with in our family members, or the depression and the anxiety and some other learning difficulties, I thought those were genetic and there was nothing I could do about them. But Dr. Amen helped me flip the switch in my brain to say, oh my gosh, this is possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with a couple of slides. So my goal here tonight is that you guys can really see from current slide, there we go, that with this purpose of, I want you to know that you can do things that can make a difference. And this is what I have learned on my journey. I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending you do anything. I'm just sharing with you what I have gleaned from my experience. So we go to doctors to get a diagnosis. A diagnosis is a compilation of symptoms to give us a tag or a label. And that tag and label has its place because why do we get a diagnosis? One, so we all know we're not crazy and we're not making up the pain or the dysfunction going on in our body, which makes us feel better about ourselves. But the other part is that if we are in crisis, the medical world has a protocol that they can help us. And that is needed at certain times during our journeys. So it's important at that point to do that, so you have that. Now, something else that I've also learned, because on my journey of this life, I have found people say, oh, I used this product and oh my gosh, my whole life changed. Or I did this exercise and my whole life changed. And what I found was that those weren't really universal truths. Those were things that worked for them. And even on medications or things that I was given for my challenges, they might have worked or they didn't work. I went through a lot of medications before I found one that worked for me. And so there's no universal truth there. But here's what a universal truth is. No matter if I do it, if you do it, or the dog does it, the apple is going to fall from the tree. If I drop the apple, it's going to fall to the ground. So what do we have in life that is an absolute universal truth for all of us across the board? So we know three things. One, our cells have the same structure of a nucleus, a mitochondria, and a cell membrane. Done. Our cells duplicate. And I even have found that learned that our cells duplicate depending where they are in our bodies. Anywhere from every 2 days they're doing turnover to every 30 days, 2 months. It goes all the way up to 7 and 8 years. So basically every 7 to 8 years, we have an entirely new body. So are we duplicating damaged cells that continue to be damaged? Just like when you use a copy machine, and as it starts to run out of ink, you're going to get less and less things. And then say you get a poke into your picture, that poke is going to continue into the next pictures. But what if you could remove that and regenerate the ink to have a duplicate copy that's actually getting better and better? This is the most important thing that really turned my life around. The body is designed to heal. That is something I absolutely did not believe, because through my experience, I just thought we had to stabilize. I just thought we had to do the best we could, excuse me, with what we have. But I did learn that with the right tools, your body can heal and repair. So every body mammal has two things in common: cell structure and body systems. So our cells make our tissues make our organs, and our organs make our systems. And the system we're focusing on tonight, of course, is the nervous system and the brain. And I'm also going to throw in a little bit about the gut and that health too. This was the other aha I had. Genetic or environmental. We now know through science that 95% of our health is environmentally influenced, leaving only 5% for genes. So if you can really soak this in, one, it puts a lot of responsibility back on you when things happen in your life, that what events happen that cause those switches for you to get those diagnoses and those challenges in your body and in that brain. So our brain is responsible for so many things. It's responsible for attention, speaking, organization, your personality, your emotions. How well is your brain functioning? And that's what I was finding with my daughter. So here's Dr. Amen. This is the book that I read that absolutely helped me have hope again. And this is his Brain Warriors cookbook. And I do recommend that. It's like 6 to 8 ingredients per thing, but it helps you get your food correct, because that's a huge part of your body system. So Dr. Amen, what he does are these brain scans. And this is what I really want to show to you tonight, because this is what made me be a better mom. I'm telling you, the video I made on YouTube, on Facebook, where I'm telling my daughter, if you just focus, I know you'll get it. If you just do this, I know you'll get it. And what I learned was this. So this is a neurotypical brain, and the colors are just for effect. But here's your normal activity. This red is higher activity and white is hyperactivity. And we want this here because this is our processing center. When we look at some people's brains, and this is one of my family members' brains, you can see the hyperactivity that's going on when this person is resting, and the over hyperactivity when they're concentrating. And what I learned was with certain things, the brain actually shuts down as it gets concentrating. So if you look at this one, here's the normal neurotypical, here's resting, and here's concentrating. Their brain is even more active than ever. And that causes the focus and the challenges of communication and the challenges of flowing through life. Here's another scan of the brain. And this one, as you can see, here's a neurotypical brain. The holes, this is neurotypical. The hole here represents lack of blood flow. It doesn't mean there's a hole in the brain. But look what happens when the concentration comes on. The lack of blood flow increased. And that's why so many people go on caffeine and they use green tea products or those 5-hour energy drinks, because they're actually creating more blood flow to your brain because it's actually shutting down. The divots on the brain actually are more pronounced as they are concentrating. So which person do these brains belong to? You can't tell. And that's what I've learned through my journey, is you don't know what's going on in someone else's brain. I did not understand, comprehend on any realm what was going on in my family members' brains to have them behave and react and interact the way that we did with each other. And the brain is the only the glasses, we can see that they make a difference. And we're so willing to give ourselves tools for things like that, but we aren't willing to take the time to actually take our brain and pay attention to it. So I'm going to narrow it down to a few key herbs: L-theanine, green tea, magnesium, quercetin, DMAE, the vitamin Bs, the niacin, and the vitamin B12. This is my family. When you're this little and things are going great, you have no idea how those next years are going to go. And I'm so grateful that they've all grown up and that we've been able to overcome these challenges and that we are able to be together as a family. But you just don't know what's going on in people's minds. So our last thing is my top 3 things to help go forward. 1, activation. Because when Dr. Brimhall found activation for my family, we went from a boatload of supplements to just a few with exponential effects, and we were spending less money. Your environment, and I could put so many things here in your environment, but you're talking food, EMFs, blue light, air, water, hair, skin. And the blue light, especially now that everyone's on these computers so much with the Zoom meetings and with the school teaching being online, we need to be extra careful. These glasses I'm wearing actually take out some of the blue light so that I'm not affected with that as deeply as it would if I wasn't wearing those. So there's lots of things you can do. We can do a whole nother seminar on that alone. And 3, I believe chiropractic is huge, keeping your body in alignment so that nerve function is going. And my last thing, which has been my savior in so many ways, is writing with a pencil. When you can write your thoughts and things that are going on in your brain on paper, you actually get to look at them and go, wow, do I really believe that? The last thing is the brain-gut connection. As I've gone through my journey, I have found that most people, their guts are unhealthy. And when that gut is unhealthy, because the gut is what makes everything that makes the rest of your body, your nutrients get absorbed, your body to function properly, to get rid of toxins, to be able to feed your body. And so you really need both of those elements to be super on target for your optimal body system. So that's what I wanted to share tonight. Oh, the last thing, I'm sorry, one more. You can call me just one more Eileen. My kids hate that because it's like, just one more thing. Let me get one more thing in. When you go to get supplements, please don't just buy them off of Amazon. Number one, Amazon is a third-party seller. You want to make sure you're getting supplements that have seals of approval. Anybody can make supplements. Anybody can say what they want to be in there, but it doesn't mean it's actually in there. So you want to buy straight from manufacturers if possible. You want doctor grade, not pharmaceutical grade. And doctor grade, I mean like Dr. Brett grade, because these naturopaths have searched out the best companies. So here's some seals of approval that is in one company that I buy from, and these are the seals of approval from another company I personally buy from. That way, I am actually better off taking supplements that are with these seals of approval than buying something cheap that might be working, because I might be giving myself more toxins than not. So I want to make sure I'm always putting the best quality products in my system. So that's what I wanted to share tonight about brain health. I know that the brain can heal, and when you heal that brain, it just changes your life to have those relationships, that financial being, that being able to thrive at work instead of just survive, to be able to go through life on a better note. So anyway, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it back to Brett.
Hey, so I mean, before we stop the recording, just from a perspective standpoint, because you have seen so much and you've done so much, and you've been on this journey over 20 years, to really not only just to not only just survive, but to literally where your body's doing things that it wasn't doing before. So just give people a perspective of what you weren't able to do, like what's your day look like just a little bit, and what's happened over the last 5 years, what you're able to do now that you understand this concept of activation and using products that are based on genetic activation versus just trying to fill in the holes or the gaps that your diet didn't have. And what's the difference in how your body is responding and where it's at now compared to where it was 5 years ago, just from what you're able to do day to day.
All right, well, thank you. So actually, just a quick rewind. I was diagnosed with a pretty devastating neurological dysfunction in my brain, in my body. So what it led me to was laying on the couch about 9 hours a day. It led to my body breaking down. It led to me doing one task at a time. I did not have the energy to do more. I was seeing Dr. Brimhall 1 to 3 times a week just to make it through. And we were spending a boatload of money. But that's what I thought the best I could do for so many years. In fact, I used to take this many supplements, if not more, and they're high quality supplements. They did what they could do, but I couldn't recommend any of those to you because one, they were specific to my symptoms. They weren't to my body systems. And so when Dr. Brett found activation, we switched to this. And in fact, Dr. Amen, when we went to Dr. Amen, he put my daughter on just expensive herbs, which were phenomenal. They were $350 a month, but you know what? As a mom, I'm going to do whatever it can for my daughter. And what I found was that we did have baby step improvements, but with the activation, we actually superseded everything that I was doing before. I've been able to have better communication. I've been able to get off the couch. I've been able to live life vertically and have dreams again, where I did not even think that was a possibility before, because when you activate these cells and they turn into your systems working better through that process I showed you of the cells to the tissues, to the organs, to the systems, it's just an all-in-one package. You can't lose when you're building from the base level.
You know, I could listen to one more thing, Eileen, a lot. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. And there's so much more to that story, guys, that maybe we'll get her to talk a little more about in the future, and her journey and what other things she learned along the way to help her and her family get where they are. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna stop the recording. So for those of you who watch the replay, just watch it and share it with your friends and family, and then get with the person that invited you to look at it to further specifically talk about you and how this might benefit you.